This video is about single mothers and what men should know about them before getting involved with them. My friend once told me that he dated an older woman who was a single mother. Soon after, she began talking about marriage, which led her to ask him if they were to marry, he would have to adopt her son and provide for him as well as her for the rest of their lives, even though he barely knew her. Fortunately, my friend saw right through it and ended the relationship, but most men don't, and they realize too late how they've been pushed into something that the mother had planned all along. And if they do, they are chastised by society for abandoning a good woman and failing to help her through her difficult life. Divorcees tend to relocate to urban areas where they struggle to find men to date, and those who do date them are expected to marry them and adopt their children. So I applaud my friend for turning down the single mother. Female empowerment has resulted in a steady increase in urban populations as women begin to migrate from rural areas to cities in search of independence. They also sometimes move with their children that they had from their previous marriages in rural areas. Men work hard on their farms and ranches, so they don't have time to play women's mind games and be manipulated all the time. Women, on the other hand, tend to move to cities to live and work independently, chasing the feminist narrative of being strong, successful, and independent women. Back in the day, men moved from rural areas to cities to work in factories and earn a living that could not be found in rural areas. At the same time, women moved to cities to find work. When we look closely at relationships, we see that they are all about power struggles. Women intend to use the concept of love to maintain control over men. Having children with these women allows them to use men's resources more openly and to their advantage, and women are notoriously shady when it comes to their resources. I've yet to meet a woman who was generous with her earnings or inheritance. Men are becoming more aware of this and are not succumbing to manipulation as readily as they once did. However, there are still men who seek this, which is why women continue to do so. Even today, simps with weak willpower are easily seduced because women identify and exploit their flaws. A woman who is exceptionally good in bed will always be a source of weakness for weak men. Men must understand that the hour of pleasure they have in the bedroom is not unconditional. The woman you're dating or planning to marry is only doing it to obtain your resources in the long run to finance her life and fuel her material and societal desires. To have access to decent food, designer handbags, and vehicles. Men in rural areas may be physically strong, but they are not as intellectually refined as men in cities. This is probably why rural men fall for rural women all the time in their early years, marry and have children, only to divorce when they discover the manipulative side of women. Women from the country and rural areas are easier to get along with because they are not as shrewd as most city women. As a result, guys usually find it easier to talk to and be with women from the country, but you can't change their female nature. They may appear to be long-term commitment types, but they use this to eventually manipulate men in the same way that a city woman would. Rural girls aren't as educated as city girls, which is why country girls appear to be much simpler, easier to understand and get along with. Country girls don't commonly go to universities to get their masters or fed, whereas city girls do. Also, women in rural areas did not have satellite television, or even an internet connection a few decades ago, so their access to popular culture was much less than it is today. This meant they were less influenced by other women or shows that taught women how to manipulate men for their own ends. Religion was also much more prevalent in rural areas than in cities, giving them even more reason to settle down early in life, marry, and have children. Another significant point is that when women marry, their social circle expands. Single women do not associate with married women. Married women avoid single women because they are afraid they will charm their husbands, and when single women see single mothers, it scares them and pushes them not to have children because they do not want to give up their lives and shoulder that kind of responsibility. Things are a little different in the city. For example, a single woman with children will have a harder time bonding with other single women without children because she will not have as much time on her hands as them. Although these social norms are not as rigid in cities as they are in rural areas, married couples will continue to socialize with single men and women, and vice versa. Single women in cities are afraid of becoming single mothers because it will devastate their social lives, on which women base their self-esteem. Most of the time, single mothers in rural areas are shunned in their communities, so they move to the big cities. This is a long-standing dynamic. Gentlemen, I hope you understand these dynamics before you start dating a country girl. And I hope you understand these factors when your womb forces you to relocate from the city to her farm. Don't forget to hit the like button to help spread the word about this video. Thank you for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember that a red pill a day keeps bad poker hands away. So have a good rest of your day and cheers.